And we're live. We're live. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jimmy Calabrese here for Coffee Comics. We've got Mike MacLean, writer of La Muerta, Joel Gomez, the series illustrator for La Muerta. And we're here talking about the upcoming Kickstarter, La Muerta Retaliation. Chapter 6?
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6, okay. I can count correctly when I was reading these books.
At least up to 6.
So I was telling everyone online, I just told Mike too, that I reread all the chapters last night. A very fun read, amazing stuff. And a couple things popped into my head, so I want to ask you some of these items. First of all, Mike, I keep thinking that you're co-writer, but you're head writer. Is that the right terminology for this? Basically, you're the main writer for La Muerta, and like Brian's like the editor, just kind of puts.
Yeah, I mean, Brian is an editor, but he big role in plotting the stories as well. So I see him as kind of a co-writer. But in the first 2 chapters, we were co-writers of that. That came from the original screenplay that Brian and I wrote together. And then from there on, I kind of take the lead a little bit on the other chapters. But Brian is very helpful, and he takes a strong role in helping with the outlining and the story motivations. We kind of talk him out and to see the direction where the character is going. So I think I would post him as more than an editor. Not that an editor is anything slight, but more than an editor. But most of the writing is on my shoulders. Except,
so he would be like editor plus.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that, Joel?
I'm sorry. I was just saying he's editor plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian's editor plus. Yeah.
Oh, something I just discovered was really neat, because I just brought up the fact that one scene where La Muerta grabs Loco, which Loco is amazing. Those 2 guys together are just amazing. But when La Muerta grabs Loco as a human shield, so he hits the Kevlar vest, and he gets thrown into the back of Alfredo's car, and he's like, "Hey, I'm still good. Give me a weapon." And Joel mentioned that he helped in creating that part of the story that wasn't originally in the script, but he saw that visually, and he's like, "Hey guys." So I thought that was fascinating that you actually work with Joel in that capacity, where like he can throw ideas your guys' ways, and it's almost like, and Joel mentioned too, it's like a movie production where it's all different departments come together to make one the end result. So it's not just there's the main writer, but then everyone else has a little bit of say into the end process, which seems to be from what I just got to re-experience in the physical form. It's just amazing to see how it's gelled, and the final outcome is just amazing. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's very collaborative. Joel, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, that was the thing. Like I had the script for that sequence, and that particular panel, they just mentioned that Maria was picking him up. There was heavy gunfire. So it was already really a turbulent situation. And then in drawing it, I don't know, I inadvertently put a little ding on something, and I was like, oh shit, wouldn't it be really cool if he was actually getting shot on his vest? And then it went one further, and I was like, well, what if it was deliberately done? And before I even inked it, I had to run it by these guys, because at the end of the day, it's still their story. So it's like, hey, what do you think of this idea? Do you think it would work as long as it doesn't get in the way of what they're trying to do? I'm sometimes just throwing things at them to see what they like, or if they don't like something. And that was one of them where it worked out okay. And at first, like it wasn't there, and I didn't even imagine it until it was just, I was like again, just gesturing in the figures onto the page. And a random line just kind of got on the area where his vest would be. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool if this was actually deliberately done. And so then, like I said, I made sure to run it by Mike and Brian. I think it was just Mike, actually. And Mike was like, yeah, that sounds cool to me. And so we just we ran with it,
It's very keeping in the mood and the character of the 90s action flick. That sounds like you would see something you'd see in the movie. So it was great. I love that added bonus to it.
And that's speaking of 90s action flicks, I felt like once again, like revisiting these, I was like, oh, I forgot how violent it was. And it was like, oh wow, this is exciting how violent it is. But also, it had that '80s action movie film feel to it. Like, you know, she has the one-liners that she throws in there. It's like, I tried being dead once and it didn't work. All those great
I
one-liners.
love that.
But
I love that. These guys, they're always throwing those things out, and it's just really, like you said, it's an '80s action, '90s action film, you know. And Mike and Brian have a real sense for that, so I try to stick with that.
What influences? What movies would you say influenced you, Mike, on writing La Muerta?
Well, definitely not only in the type of movie, but like Robert Rodriguez's films, Desperado, even Dusk to Dawn. There's kind of there's this kind of faded noir. It's still noirish, but it's like baked and everything's faded, and there's a very interesting look to those films. Another one was Way of the Gun. McQuarrie, I believe, directed it. For some reason, it escapes me now. And definitely, if you watch that movie, it's very noir, but it's like there's this kind of faded sun. Everything seems fried. Those are just a couple of the big influences. Obviously, Death Wish in the original storyline. I'm a huge fan of Luc Besson, Professional, and I think you can see bits and pieces of that in the action as well. He does action in mundane-ish places. You have some really cool set pieces. A lot of them are in the real, you know, unlike Lady Death, where she's fighting in hell or fighting on top of some cursed temple or thing. These are places you could see in the real life. So a lot of that's from Luc Besson, and he has those really interesting action pieces in those. So those are some of the big influences. How about you, Joel? What, like when you're drawing these, is there any film influence that you take from?
Yeah, I guess I do. A lot of the old noir stuff, you know, the Third Man. A lot of that high contrast, old school stuff really works great for the cityscapes and environments that we kind of touch on. And oddly enough, sometimes too, even movies like the original Raiders of the Lost Ark. Some of the cinematography in that and the way that they light stuff, it really just it just kind of like reads for me really well, and I kind of use that kind of stuff as part of our the look for La Muerta, because it's definitely got like a Frank Miller Sin City kind of vibe to it, as Leo likes to say. But then I try to bring some of the newer stuff in there too, to give it the visual aesthetic that has just a kind of a unique spin on it. I was mentioning earlier to Jimmy that there's a thing that I've had to incorporate into the way I draw it, is because of the way it gets colored. And Cece de la Cruz, the stuff she does, the analogy I was using earlier was that it's almost, a lot of times the panels can almost look like a velvet painting, like those paintings from the 70s you'd see like in a Mexican restaurant or something, where the colors are so lush and vibrant against like a really dark atmospheric kind of setting. And so I think it plays well for the look we're going for, and I just kind of think about that as I'm drawing it, to leave room for interpretation for that kind of stuff for CC as well.
All right, Mike, one more question. I wrote down these two lines. I want to see if you have anything to say about these ones. Okay, the first one is, I am the bullet, and this is the target. And that was La Muerta saying that one. And then the other one is, tomorrow I'll pray for my soul, and tonight I'll pull the trigger.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
I love that one. Yeah. I saw those. I'm like, oh, those are so good. How'd you come up? Did you come up with that?
Yeah, you know, it's I probably you know, the blessing and the curse of comic book writing is it happens at a fast pace. So I can't think of the exact times when I came up with lines like that, like those particular lines. But I in my heart, I love stuff like that. I know they're over the top and nobody in real life would say it, but it's stuff that you can definitely get away with in comic books more than even in a movie. I mean, it reminds me of the cheesy Stallone Cobra line, you know, like, you're the disease and I'm the cure. You know, but there's, you know, it kind of a long history of the kind of melodrama, and it lets you do those big dark lines. So yeah, I love that stuff. I unabashedly love writing lines like that. I take pride. Some people would be like, "Oh, I can't believe it's so over the top," but no, I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. That's part of the whole steez of our book. You know, it has to have that kind of vibe to it. You know, everything about it is over the top. Even like as you mentioned earlier, the violence. I mean, yeah, it's pretty violent comic, but it's so over the top that it almost becomes like unreal in a sense. You know, and it's so it is almost a form of expression. You know.
Oh, definitely is over the top. Yeah, because you guys could have played this serious, and I think that would have been like
that would have been weird.
Yeah, it would be like so dark, but by like the way over the top blood with the sander to the face and just like the blood going everywhere. Yeah, it seems like it's definitely a love letter to like seems like the 80s action movies and along with the noir put together.
Yeah, John Woo is also a big influence, and I would say you said it's not serious. I would say it's not serious, but it's sincere, and there's a difference. Yeah, we know that some of it's tongue in cheek, but yet we take the characters and the emotions and the situations very seriously, even though the action and some of the lines are over the top. So, and you can see that in John Woo movies. He's nothing but sincere about those characters. But it's wow, it's just bloodshed everywhere, and they're amazing.
I kind of think of it also too in the sense that it also reminds me in some ways the way we handle it. I'm inspired by like Kurosawa films, where in his samurai films it would be such there'd be a serious tone to it, but once the violence would start, I mean, he was one of the first guys that blood just flying everywhere from a sword, hitting somebody. That's an insane amount of blood flying everywhere, but it's still serious in tone in a sense, but the violence allows it to be kind of almost like not too real, and that's the thing, like even in Kurosawa's film, there's always movement. Either there's dust flying in the background, there's some wind, there's nature's happening, but I kind of think of La Muerta in the same way, where that there's always a bit of texture or grit to any scene that we're in, because it just adds character to the story and the people that are involved. It
definitely speaks to me, and I think any fan who gets it because it's like, yeah, it's just amazing. Oh, I want to mention this comment here. Someone says, "Here you go. TikTok hammer, only black shirts allowed and Gotham Streets." But that's right. Not just that. It's like
three amigos. Right? I like that. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Awesome. Okay, one other thing before we go talk about the next chapter of La Muerta for the Kickstarter. So talk to Joel about this, but I love the team up of, I wasn't so sure about Loco at first, but now I just love that character because it seems like they play off each other. La Muerta. Oh, that's another question too. She's doing a lot of kicking. A lot of her fighting, the Loco is punching, and she does a lot of kicks. So does she have a background in martial arts? If so, what is it? Would it be that the martial arts would you say she has? But also, like can you speak to the character dynamic of Loco and La Muerta and how they just seem like peanut butter and jelly. It's just like so perfect. And by the end, you're like, oh no, he's been shot. Is he one that's gonna be? We leave him in a cliffhanger at the end of Ascension. So, what can you say about that, Mike?
So yeah, I always had. We haven't really worked it out. One big kind of proponent of Coffin Comics is we tell these huge stories with lots of plot happening, lots of things, always moving, a lot of moving parts. So we haven't had a chance to go back and talk about our history, and sometimes I think that's more interesting because it leaves a little mystery to it. I always thought of La Muerta, and La Muerta is Brian's character, so in the end, it's his decision. But I always thought that she had in her past an uncle that was a fighter, was a kickboxer, and probably taught her American style boxing, which would be a karate based kickboxing. Back in the days, maybe a little bit before MMA. I guess I see her as a little bit older than she is, but then she would also have some kind of grappling, jiu-jitsu or judo experience. And then plus whatever she picked up in the military, the hand-to-hand combat. She was positioned with special forces troops. So you could also say they probably taught her some of their hand-to-hand combat when they're in the field. So that's my vision for her martial arts skill. In terms of her relationship with Loco, I think what's really interesting, I always saw La Muerta as kind of the early days of the Punisher, where she still has her soul intact. If you have any Punisher fans, the Punisher, now on the comic books, he's kind of a machine. He's a person that runs on mission, and that's all he has in his life. And he's lost a lot of humanity. And I see La Muerta, that's not the case. She's still trying to hold on to her humanity. She's not this kind of mindless killing machine. Loco represents something that La Muerta can become. He is more ruthless and more willing to kill if it's necessary, but also to achieve his purpose of wiping out whatever crime. La Muerta has a soldier's attitude where killing is necessary, but also, if it goes against orders or if it's an innocent, she's going to try very hard not to do that. So I always see that. I think that's tiring because there's some conflict there. If she is not careful, Loco is where she could end up in terms of her humanity. So that's kind of the internal conflict with La Muerta. She's trying to keep herself while still becoming this instrument of vengeance.
Yeah, and they had that one. Oh, sorry. I'll let Joe answer in a second. But you have that one scene when Loco just wanted to kill that guy. They found the coyote, and he's just like, I'm just gonna kill him like that. She's like, wait, I need information. So they had a big fight against trying to. She wasn't really trying to save him, but just trying to get information from him before he stuffed him out. But anyway, Joe, go ahead. What's your thoughts again on those two?
Oh, I didn't say anything. I was listening. Intently to Mike. I like that.
Oh yeah, but then
what was the question? I'm sorry. What was
then he tossed it over to you. He said, "What's your thoughts on them?"
On the dynamic between the two?
Yeah.
I'm still. I'm kind of like with Jimmy when Loco first appeared. I was like, okay, this particular, he had a look about him, and I went with it. And as I read more and got into Mike and Brian doing with him, it became like I started to create an identity of him in my mind. And Mike mentioned to me one time recently where he's like, remember Brian said this guy, he may look like a big, big bruiser, meathead kind of guy, but he knows that, and it's part of his angle. Like he's actually always scheming. He's always got stuff going on back there, but it's kind of to play up on that and make people think he's not thinking of those things. And it was really neat because it kind of played into the whole Barrio Batman thing we talked about earlier. And so I kind of dig the place Loco comes from, and the fact that he doesn't really tip his hand as much as as much as he's pretending to, and so I even go so far as to think that part of his persona is that maybe he's always projecting that so that you can be busy preoccupied with that part of him while he's working out things, behind the scenes, and sure enough, as we're working on the newer chapter, Mike gave me a little bit more, like, I guess, insight into the character, and it brought even more like, oh, this guy's really freaking cool. I like this guy a lot, and so at this point, the only thing that would make him even cooler is if you were to tell him, and he's got a dog, I'd be like, oh, damn, that's so cool. You know what I mean? So
and the dog really has a short mask too.
Yeah, right. That'd be cool. That'd actually be cool. But yeah, I really like the character they came up with, and it's like anything else. The more familiar you are with it, the more comfortable and at ease you are with it. And so, yeah, I like him a lot more, and I hope we get to see more of him later on down the line.
So far, okay, latest chapter that's out, Ascension. So it seems like this whole book, very exciting, by the way. It's cool to see the Lost Angels and seeing other parts. I like that, the go see Chinatown and all that. But it seems like this is one big setup for the next chapter, Retaliation, which launches. It seems like at the end you're like, oh wait, it just feels like it's one big setup for something big's gonna happen. Am I correct? Is something big going to happen on May 20th at 7 p.m.? The Muerta Retribution Kickstarter launch? Is that story going to be as big and epic as it feels like it's going to be?
I will say this is it. There is more bullets and bloodshed in this issue than any other. It's definitely the most action-packed issue of La Muerta, I believe. Ascension was very action-packed. This one is even more so. So it is culminating into a bullet-ridden climax in the tradition of the 80s movies that we were talking about. When we were coming up with this story, the concept that we were using was Sylvester Stallone's First Blood, the very first Rambo movie, where the action begins. Once the action begins, you have the tension throughout. Rambo never gets to rest in that movie once the action begins. And that was our concept for this. So La Muerta is pursued, and then she becomes the huntress at the end. So that was the concept behind it. I think we carried it out pretty well. And Joel's pencils and you know, the way he portrayed the action are just astounding. Looks great.
That's one of my things is being able to work so closely with Mike and Brian on these things. I'm always able to, not choreograph, but coordinate ideas for like a big set piece or something. I generally want to always run it by them to see if there's a way we could incorporate it where, you know, the action is going complementary to what's being said, or as the reader is reading something, maybe what they're seeing isn't implying what they're actually reading. So it's always fun to try and coordinate with those guys to give it like a multi-layered effect, you know. And so in this particular chapter, we had a couple scenes where we had some fun stuff like that, but a lot more action as we get to the near end of the book, and it gets ramped up quickly. So I'm excited for people to check that out.
All right, so you basically have 4 members of this band. Got Brian, Mike, Joel, and Cece. Who's who? We know Mike. We know Brian is the lead singer.
Yes.
Who's who? Who would you say?
I'm the bassist.
The bass.
Mike's the guitarist.
Guitar.
Sure.
And then
Cece's
the drummer. All right.
Yeah. And then
we got Marshall Dillon on the keyboards.
Oh,
I was about to say
that. Right. Veteran keyboard player, Marshall Dillon.
And then the best part is we all wear these T-shirts when we're doing it.
Like one of a kind Joe Gomez T-shirt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, right.
So excited. Hey, let's go see what's going on over in the comments. Got anything going on here? Let's see. Adrian. There you go. The next issue, La Muerta Concrete Jungle. There's from Adrian there. Okay, we got Joshua. Oh no, more action, please. It's too much. Never enough. It almost feels like it felt like Ascension. Actually, all the stories kind of leading up to this, because Brian said this is like the huge the story arc. The main story arc is going to end with the next this next story. But it almost seems like feels like you guys lit a fuse, and it's just like throughout all the chapters, just like slowly burning to this one big explosion. So we'll see who lives, who dies.
Well, here's one. In the future, will Loco get his own book?
Whoa! Oh, there it is from D-Dog. Yeah. Will Loco get his own book? I say that's, if it was up to me, I'd say yes.
You never know. He's got an interesting background. I mean, I've talked to Mike about it, what they've kind of had, and we were kicking around ideas at one time, just, you know, for whatever's. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what El Jefe and Mike think up. You know,
Mike, do you think there's enough there for something?
You know, like Brian and actually all 3 of us, we've come up with different ideas for a Loco book. We'll see if you know they ever come to fruition. You know, so it's really kind of, it's up to the fans. Do you guys want a Loco book? You gotta let us know.
If the demand's there, right?
If the demand's there, it'll happen.
If you demand it, come on, folks, let's demand it.
Because it'd be cool too. Think about it. He's like semi-luchador. Maybe you start off in some sort of luchador setting. I don't know.
Yeah, you do some wrestling.
Old school Mexican style, you know.
Yeah, all the flying kicks and
and the cage match and all that stuff. That could be pretty cool. You know what I mean?
It could be a mashup with a crossover with Nacho Libre.
Oh yeah, right. That'd be kind of cool.
Nacho.
But
Let's see. What's this? My question, Joel, for possible upcoming figure of Muerta, would you be willing to make the box art or have a say in how she's portrayed in terms of pose attire? So upcoming figure.
you know what, I think El Jefe would be the one to make those decisions if they went about it in that direction. I'm sure Brian would suggest a couple of things, to what he'd want to see and stuff. But I'd certainly love the opportunity. I love, anything La Muerta. I'm all there for. So.
Let's see what else could we get. Oh yeah, Adrian. Oh, another one for Adrian. Yeah, the black drawing behind would make it subtle black tea. Yeah, sure. All those. We should also mention, hey, on the store right now, mini print, $3 of this one. We got this one on the store. This one too. I think, Mike, that looks like some original art behind you right there.
Yeah. So I have to say, and not to embarrass Joel, is probably one of the nicest guys I've met. He gifted me this original art piece from La Muerta Vengeance, I believe, and it's one of my favorite shots from the book, and it was just a tremendous gift, and it's one of his gifts to me, and just out of the kindness of his heart. So it's my prized. I think Monty Moore recently put a post saying, "Hey, what is your prized art piece?" And that's it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so it's La Muerta on a roof with the rain, with guns, and Santa Muerta behind her, and she just broke up with her boyfriend, and that's what you do, right? You get up on a roof, break up with your significant other.
Where else are you gonna go?
That's the funny thing. Like somewhere, I guess after chapter 1 or 2, I think it was 2. Somewhere after 2, I stopped wanting to sell the pages, like the pages, because like. Instead of, here's this action scene or here's this particular thing that could sell, all I could see was like, oh, this is when I was talking to Mike and Brian about this one thing and we decided to do this. Or it turns into like, oh, this is where I learned how to draw her hair better. And after a while, every page became more of like this watermark or it kind of marked the time for me of like what was going on at that particular moment. And so at that time, it became like more of a prized possession because it was just a reminder of something behind me. And so a lot of times when I look at these pages, all I see is like, all I can think of is whatever I was either listening to or whatever Mike and Brian had ideas about, or somewhere where I decided, hey, I really turned the corner on how to ink this arm, or I really learned how to draw this thing in perspective. And so at that point, it became more valuable to me as an experience rather than something that I wanted to just get rid of. And so that page, when I thought of it, immediately all I could think was like, oh yeah, this is one of the cool shots that Mike, he sometimes will be very descriptive with what he wants to see on a page. And in that one, as soon as I read it, I knew exactly what he was wanting. And so when I said, hey dude, I'd love to give you, these pages, he mentioned that one. I was like, of course, that's totally, I remember when you were mentioning it, it sort of, when I read some of the script, sometimes I immediately see it without even having to lay something out. And that was one of the pages where the way he described it, just like it hit home immediately. And I was like, oh, I know what he's going for here. And so of course it made sense,
So on the upcoming Kickstarter, will there be a new character? Can you guys reveal anything about new characters? Can you say yes or no?
I don't think there's any new characters in this one. It's really a continuation of Ascension. Ascension, we introduced a group of people that I really enjoyed writing, which was the Espada brothers.
Those guys are
great. Who were this gang of psychos that nobody even really wants. It's every reject from every gang is sent to this one because they're just too psycho to be handled. So they all form their own, and they chased La Muerta. I really loved how Joel portrayed them. And I'm trying to think in this episode. I mean, we have Papa Z, right?
That's right.
From the last one.
Yep.
So that was from the previous episode. But we will see those relationships culminate in a bloodbath.
I love that scene. I think it's that gang you're talking about. It's the one they chased La Muerta through the train yard, and one of the dudes just get and it's just like so many creative ways for kills.
I like that one. When I read the script, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, this is gonna be awesome!" Because it was literally right there. It's like the last guy doesn't make it, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great." And so it was a very death by train is such a rare opportunity. I had to do it the right brand of justice. You got to be a certain kind of a stupid to be killed by an oncoming train.
Oh, we got some breaking news. Hold on. We got Psycho Sean. Hey, Psycho Sean, here he is. We got breaking news from Psycho Sean, customer service manager.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of our Fiend Nation people. Afternoon or evening, getting close to evening time, I guess, over there on the East Coast. Hey, just want to remind you that you can get other books ordered with a remark. So there are 3 other books that you can get a remark on. So obviously you can do the half or the full shots for our main official Gomez original art editions, but we do have the 3 other books, and especially the La Muerta Vengeance Action Edition. That book is $7.99. That's $8. You can get a remark on that. So that's a nice way, a nice entry point into getting something.
How much are those remarks? How much the remarks are going for?
The remarks are $30, and you can just use that option. Yes, yeah, $30 to get a beautiful addition to this amazing book. All right, definitely, I would suggest.
All right. So for new people who don't know what remarks are, Joel, can you tell us what a remark is? What is he talking about? What's a remark in a book?
So a remark is basically you get a specialized little head sketch on the cover of the book. So it's kind of like it adds to the value of the collectability of it all, and being that I'm the artist of La Muerta, getting the remark right on there is a nice little added feature and collectible item. And then you can also even get it graded or get them signed, by the team. So it's like, it's a neat way to kind of have, if you're a fan of La Muerta and you're a fan of what we're doing, it's a great way to have a little affordable collectible of your own.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for offering that to the Fiends and
for
Nation.
Yeah, definitely, because you can get these signed. I mean, yeah, and even if you want to get them CGC'd for these other remarks, you just need to put that in the comments when you purchase it, or email us here at inquiries@coffincomics.com, and we can definitely help you out on that. But exactly like what Joel was saying, man, what a great little add-on to have. It's a one of a kind, right? You're going to get your book, and it's going to be a one of a kind book because nobody else is going to get that exact remark on their book. I'll have to pull out. I should have brought out one of my other remarks that I do have from Joel, but. Okay, and then the other thing that I did want to say is, hey, guess what? I definitely want to thank all of these people. We definitely have people that are taking us up on the on getting the.
Oh, you got customer list right here?
Figures or the half figures, right?
Yeah, let's shout out some of the customers here that are ordering.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's take a look here. I know we've got Trevor, right? So we've got Trevor Shells. She's there yet. So we got Trevor. Man, Trevor, he's going to get himself a nice full figure drawing signed by Joe Gomez and Brian.
Nice.
Polito, right?
Very nice. Thank you.
Oh, and he also has, and then he's one of the ones that took us up on the CGC Signature Series grading of that as well, right? So it's going to be a nice CGC book. It's going to be graded up to, it'll be something. Oops. Obviously, this is not, but so let me see here. Yeah, there you go. So it'll be a nice little CGC, right?
Yeah, so
this is what we mean by CGC when it's the gold label.
Yeah, CGC is the slab. It's the slab. That's what we're talking about for CGC.
It's the beautiful slab, and it's going to be it's going to have the a remark on it as well. So now, when you're talking about something that's really, really, really unique, I mean, I'd say that's in my opinion, I would hope that you would enjoy it as much as I know that that I would. And let's see, we also have a couple of people that, let's see, who else here do we have? Jeffrey. All right, so Jeffrey, we definitely want to call you out and thank you for your support as well.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you.
He's going to get this beautiful full figure drawing from Hellborn, right? So he's one of the people that have.
Oh, he's getting
so he likes some Hellborn, so he's going to get one of those Hellborns, again, full figure drawings. Nice. Wonderful addition, and he's also getting it CGC'd as well. So we definitely want to thank you. It's worth the wait. Definitely with the CGC for a beautiful drawing on your book that's going to be encapsulated and be able to a family heirloom, right? You can pass it on to your kids. They can pass it on to their kids. They can pass it
That's
on
right.
to their kids. Yeah, that's right, right? So it's a beautiful family heirloom that you can.
Yeah,
that you
don't pass off Hellwitch to kids.
yeah.
Wait till they're 18.
18, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's an antique, right? It's
pass
a
them on to
21st
kids.
century breakdown that we're having right now.
Yeah.
And we have a 21st century antique. And then, of course, everything up on our store, right, is for, is for sale. Because I know that we've had other people that are buying these books and then adding some other items to
Yeah, you get Descent, too. You get all the
order as
stories.
well. Yep. And then, yep. And so then the other thing, too, that I just want to remind people of is that breaking news. The surveys for the latest Kickstarter that we had, Lady Death, Malevolent Decimation. Yes. Those should be going out on Monday. On Monday, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So keep your eyes out on that, because we definitely want to make sure that, we want to make sure that nobody misses out on what they ordered, what they wanted. So we definitely want to make sure that they, that they get them, right?
Yep.
That you get them, you fill out the surveys on time. That way, everything, everything is gets to you within the time. I'll have people, I haven't received my survey yet, and it's like, well, we said that was out 4 months ago, but we will definitely help you out. So yeah, you definitely want to get in on the game right away.
All right, Psycho Sean, thank you for the break.
Thank you. Hey, Chris Palma, I'm going to do a quick shout out to our friend in Las Vegas. Yeah, Chris Palma. He's also going to get him some Chaos Rules with
nice.
A full figure drawing. Excellent.
Oh, cool. Very cool, man.
Hey,
very nice.
You've been great. I've been Psycho Sean. Tracy for customer service. I'm out.
All right.
I like that. That's funny.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sean. That's great. It's great to see, to shout out the customers who, the folks that.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. It's amazing. It's neat how far and wide the Fiend Nation runs. It's pretty cool. It's always amazing to me.
Yeah, that's right. And we got Sworn Fest. Speaking of Fiend Nation, Sworn Fest 2021. Yeah. It's a long time away. That's great. But let's not forget it's out there in the future. It's something to look forward to. That's for sure. It's like when you're. It's the beacon in the distance that we can look forward to.
I like it. I like that.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about? Retaliation. You guys want to talk about anything? Any spoilers? Or not spoilers. Any teasers about this Kickstarter that's coming up?
Well, as mentioned before, we have a really cool infinity kind of verse thing going on with these alternate versions of La Muerta that Brian had me work on. So those would be a lot of fun. I can't imagine. I know Brian, he mostly has all that great stuff under wraps that he'll present.
Yeah.
It's going to be nuts, I'm sure, So you guys are really good with those things. So, one thing I do got to say, I'll admit I was really glad Mike mentioned it, because this is the first I heard about it, which Maria and this relationship with this uncle. I was like, I didn't know that, and the idea that he was actually maybe a athlete and maybe taught her some of the moves that she has. So that was new to me. So that was really cool, little insight there, Mike.
Oh wow,
that's not canon yet, because
not canon.
Back of my head.
I like it. It's awesome. I can't wait for you to bust it out. Yeah, I think it's cool.
All right, let's see. We've got about 5 more minutes to see if we got any more comments. We got D-Dog. I'll be at Sworn Fest. Hell yeah, you're going to be at Sworn Fest.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. We got Billy, Economics and Comics. We're going to be coming up on that show pretty soon at 4 o'clock, folks. So make sure to go over to YouTube, Economics and Comics. Joel's going to be over there.
Hanging out. Billy. It'll be fun.
Corey Jones. Yeah, well, we've been doing this for 4 hours today, off and on. So yeah, I'm sure you did this, Corey. Thank you for letting us know and checking in on us. We appreciate that. Let's see where we got this one. Joshua. I don't think I dropped yet, but Muerta Loco crossover.
Well, they
Okay.
kind of had one, didn't they? I guess in the third chapter, when they met, or were you guys thinking something a little different?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure.
sure. Like they're in the same comic quite a bit, so they're all crossover.
Yeah, right. Unless he gets his own, and then she gets her own.
Yeah.
But for Loco, I would love to see Loco and Lady Death. Now that would be wild.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But we do know that in what chapter was it when at the end when Mama Z mentions that Lady Death is in hell with her as she's like building up her hell empire of the Aztec. So
that was a fun scene, Mike, or you guys came up with.
Yeah, that's a storyline that we have kind of in the back of our head, which like if Mama Z did go to hell, like she'd be becoming like a drug kingpin, and like she would end up being like a real force to be reckoned with. So and that could end up being, and that's one of my favorite. That's a great shot. That I love that image.
Where is it?
Yeah, I love that image. And
oh, what's this weapon? I kept wondering about that. Like, what is the story on this weapon that she?
I cannot pronounce it. It's an Aztec weapon. It's basically this club that has obsidian blades on both sides of it. So it's almost like it's sometimes they call it a sword, but it's more like a flat, like almost like a cricket bat. And it's a traditional Aztec weapon. I will butcher the name if I try to say it, but there's obsidian blades. And it's just a very cool, unique weapon that's in Aztec culture. It's kind of their main sword there, along with spears and other. But yeah, so
Did you do some research on that? How'd you do that research on the Joel?
Say again?
Oh, so did you like? He had to look that up, like.
Oh yeah, no. Brian and Mike had it specifically noted that that's what she uses as a weapon, and so I looked it up, and I'm like, Mike, I'll butcher the name. It's like how do you say it, Mike? It's,
the Aztec language. I can't even pronounce the name of their language. It's so hard to pronounce.
I think you had it better than I did. But those guys had it in mind already, and so I just looked it up. And oddly enough, I guess it's part of also like island cultures. Some of them have a similar, very similarly styled weapon, and I don't know if they also have obsidian stone to it, but it looks so similar. It's amazing, like to think that without any kind of relationship, they were coming up with the same style things.
Yeah, even in the first book, you guys had her use that.
Yeah.
So it's
so they had it embedded from the beginning. Mike and Brian already knew that's what they wanted her to have. So, and I thought it was brilliant because it really plays up on the way she is. She's ruthless, and she's kind of we play up a lot on the Aztec culture.
Yeah, and this too. I noticed this. I love that when it was like just the outline, and it's just like the CC adds like the blood outline.
Well, because it's a really violent scene, and I thought, you know what, I can let someone's imagination fill in these blanks. I'll just do the silhouette, and then you can fill in the rest. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
and I love the word balloon placement. That's perfect.
So Mike didn't say like do this. This was like, okay, have a violent scene, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do the outline.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember, but they did say she struck him in the head, and it was up to me to interpret how that would happen.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I went with the less graphic kind of, or I guess I went with a more graphic symbolism rather than being like graphic with the content, But yeah, we do that a lot. We flip around with that kind of interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that really stands out when you guys do that. Looks like you haven't done it in the last one. But let's see if any more questions or comments here. Oh, here it is. It's called the whatever that.
You see, how do you pronounce that? Macuatel, I think. Macuatel.
That's pretty good, I think. I don't know.
The blade thing. It's the bludgeoning weapon.
Club.
All right,
the
great.
Islanders actually put the.
They put what in there?
Oh, Joel was mentioning the other version. They actually embed it with shark instead of obsidian.
Oh, you're right.
So it's very
shark
similar.
tooth.
Yeah. So you'd hit them and they'd have
That's so crazy.
Stuck in there. Yeah.
So similar, man. That's so crazy. That's very
Human
cool.
creativity of violence is so great. Like, how do we make a weapon that?
It's true. It's true.
Okay, we got one more minute. Anyone? Okay, want to wrap this up? Any last words for you, Mike? Mike MacLean.
Yeah. Thank everybody for watching, but also I wanted to remind people that in the next La Muerta, not title to be determined, Joel is taking an even bigger step forward in helping us with the plotting and the writing. So Joel's going to have an even bigger say in the storyline and stuff. And I got to tell you, he's done a great job. He's going to put me out of a job here because he's plotting. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't want to give too much away on that one. It's going to be part of the big crossover, and that's in the future. But it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard rumors about this, so it's so great to hear that, confirmation that is. Congrats, Joel. That's awesome. It's to see part of that. That's
thanks, man. I'm just helping these dudes do the thing. I'm always excited to work with you guys at Coffin, and it was just a fun little process. And I've been kicking stuff around with Mike anyway. Earlier, like I'd mentioned how we used Loco as a human, I guess, like a shield at one point. And I think it just stems from ideas like that. I'm just more kind of helping with the plotting and going with what Mike he's doing. But I pretty much just run it all by him. And then we kind of bat it back and forth based on that. But it's just fun. I feel like it's a neat opportunity to explore this character, Maria, and Mike and Brian just made such a cool concept. It's hard not to want to play around in this world they've created for as long as possible, man.
Yeah, so back to that band analogy, it looks like you just became lead or second guitar.
No, you know what guitar. I just backup vocals.
But you can tell you love the character so much, and both you guys, it's just like so much love and effort you put into the characters. It's so great. Definitely comes across in the stories. I am biased. I work for Coffin, but I love these stories. I love all the stuff that we're putting out. So it's a blessing that we get to do this. And especially during these strange days, it's so great to have an escape like La Muerta that will take you to another realm, another world, and that you can, have some fun doing that. So, all right, I guess that's going to sign off. This is Jimmy Coffin for Coffin Comics. This has been Mike MacLean, Joel Gomez. Just want you to know to, hey, stay positive, stay safe, and stay sworn. Here we go with the outro here.
I'll show them fear.